Hi there, and welcome to the seventh episode of Adding the Alchemy. I am one of your co-hosts, Angie, and I am a board certified holistic health practitioner with Adding the Good Things.
And I'm Angela, the energetic alchemist, and I help people to transform their energetic blueprint to create everything that they desire in life.
All right, today we are going to talk about energy, the basics of energy, what it means, what we think about it. And this was actually, we had originally started off our thoughts about this week in talking about the masculine and feminine energies and how that plays out. And we are going to do that in a later podcast, but we decided today to make it a little more back to basics and just talk about the essence of energy and what that is and what that means, because that's a term that we throw out a lot. And we understand that everybody might not really be familiar with what we're talking about or what we mean. So I have a couple of very basic definitions here that I pulled from texts that I have that I think are really easy to understand. So the first one is energy is basically just information that vibrates, information that holds a vibration and or a frequency. You cannot see it, but you know it's there. Another definition I have is more of quantum energy or the quantum field. This is an invisible field of energy and information that governs all laws of nature. You experience it through your awareness, not your senses. So it is not something that you see, feel, touch, taste, smell. It is just your awareness that you experience it through. And your consciousness is connecting to greater levels of frequency and information all the time. Okay, so it's this energy that is flowing, this information that is vibrating. We cannot see it, feel it, taste it, smell it, but if we choose to open up our awareness to it, that's how we begin to experience it and know it's there. And I have a couple of really basic examples of this. And one is a TV. If you are watching a TV show and the show is being broadcast to the TV, and you take a sledgehammer and you bust the TV is no longer working. But is that show still being broadcast? Are those energy waves still in the atmosphere? Yes, they are. Just because you busted your TV doesn't mean that that energy is no longer being broadcast. And the proof of that is that you can go to your neighbor's house and it's still coming through their TV. Yep. Or you can go buy a new TV and there it is. So it is that energy that is still flowing, even though you can't see it because you broke your TV. Another example is when you walk into a room full of people and maybe there was some type of intense discussion going on, maybe an argument, but you walk in and it's silent. You feel that tension, you sense that tension. You walk in and you're like, oh, what was just happening here? They're not talking anymore. You don't hear the conversation. There's nothing that you can see. You certainly can't smell it or taste it. Right. You just know. Yeah. Something feels off here. Something feels tense. Somebody's angry. Like you just feel it because that energy is being communicated. It is information that is passing through the air on a vibrational level that your energetic body is aware of. You are sensing it. So those were just a couple of very basic definitions or examples that I had that I thought people could relate to.
Yeah, and when you were talking about like the TV, so everything is energy, and some of it is denser, such as like our human bodies or the chair that I'm sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
These are denser energies, whereas the energy, the frequency of love is not as dense and like a higher frequency of the same energy. So if we look at it that way, as in like everything we come into contact with in every day is energy, you can start to see and how you can change the energy and manipulate the energy and all these things. Um, so my first, as far as like physically feeling, I have this book called The Seat of the Soul. And in it, he talks about when we just are experiencing life through our five senses, that is where the struggle, that is where the pain, that is where the, all those things that are less enticing, I guess, come in, because you're not using your awareness of the energy, like you said. So if I walk into that room and I am unaware of the energy, it's kind of like when someone says read the room, like
Mm-hmm.
you can feel the energy and you're like, but if I'm unaware that energy is being exchanged, if I'm unaware of the energetic side of life, I walk into that room and I'm just like, yeah, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. It's not, it's all about being aware of it. It's about being aware of the sensations in your body and, what the faces and, the things that are very subtle. As far as like everybody interacts with energy differently. So some people can see energy, some people can feel it, some people can taste it, I guess. Like we can use our five senses to interpret the energy.
Yes.
So for me, I can see energy. So how I started to start to try to see this is I would sit out on my back porch and I would look at the trees in the sky, and I could always see like a band around the trees. And so this is like the energy coming off of the trees. Like we can see, if you are training yourself, it does take time to see these things. It wasn't just like all of a sudden I can see it, but it does take time to see these things. And I know as a kid, I used to be able to see like specks in the air,
Mm-hmm.
like different specks. Like I was seeing energy and I wasn't even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also feeling energy. If to feel energy, if you're rubbing your hands together and you feel that like friction, the heat, that is the energy moving. So you're basically like manipulating energy when you're doing that to warm it up. You're making it go faster. So that's another way to start to feel energy, is just rub your hands together and then separate them a little bit, and you can feel the energy between your hands. I remember my very first time I felt energy. I was at this class and they were doing they were teaching about meridian therapy or something, and she had me lay down on a massage table and she would put her hands over the different energy centers in my body. And when she put her hand above the one right under like my sternum area, I felt an intense vibration, and so did she. And I was like, wow, that was the very first time I actually felt like an energetic charge in my body. And I was like, wow, that is really cool. And so I try to, I've been kind of honing in on that ever since. And, that's something you can try also. If you, there's different energy centers in your body that you can try to feel, they're the chakras. That will probably be another podcast that we'll talk about, but those, you can actually feel the energy of each of those. Also, you can try this with, someone else. So energy is everywhere. Energy is everything. And once we can learn to be aware of it, we can change our lives from like suffering and pain, and see how we can change the energy to create the life that we want. And so this is like everything I'm talking about all the time is how you can manipulate and change your own energy to have whatever you want.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned you threw a couple of words out there that I want to touch on. you talked about the very subtle energies, and actually one of the texts that I have talks a lot about subtle energy basically being those unseen things. And when you talked about the denser energy, like our bodies or the chair, that would be the actual physical manifestation of those things. So people use different terms to refer to it, but I just wanted to make that distinction there, that the subtle energies would be the ones that you can't see or touch, but that you are aware of. And the more dense energies, as you referred to, would be the physical things that we can see and touch. And also just understanding that everything, whether we can see it, touch it, taste it, feel it, smell it, or not, everything has energy. Everything has a vibration. Everything has a frequency, including every single cell in our body, including our thoughts. That's why our thoughts and our emotions affect our physical body, because of the vibration that it is sending through our body, the frequency that is sending through our body. When we talk about things that are low vibe, we can talk about low vibrational emotions like anger and hatred. We can talk about even different diseases and sicknesses carry with them different vibrations, and every one will get lower to the point of death. Death is pretty much the lowest vibration you can have, because that's the opposite of life. You're no longer your physical body is no longer vibrating at that point. So the worse the sickness is, you can have a cold virus that's going to be a little bit low vibrational, but then if you're talking about something like cancer, that's much more lower vibrational, and then you keep getting lower all the way to the point of death. So these things carry vibrations. Plants and herbs and essential oils and crystals, all of these things carry vibrations that we use to raise our vibration, that we use to when we are in these low vibrational times, when we have these things in our body, whether it's the sickness or the emotion or whatever, and we're trying to clear it out, we can use the things that have the higher vibration to help us clear it out and raise it out. You talked about feeling the physical vibration of your the energy in your hands like this. Well, every morning when I get up, I will light some candles and choose one or two crystals that I wish to work with that morning. And it's just whatever calls me. I have a few of my favorites, but there are certain ones where it actually creates such an energy in my hand that I can feel it. It almost starts to feel like a little bit of that pins and needle tingling. And if I put that crystal down for a minute and then go back and pick it up, I realize how much heat it's holding. It is on fire because it has been pulling energy from my body. Like, this is a physical manifestation of how it is working with the energy in my body. And it never ceases to amaze me how hot these things get. Like, it's way hotter than my body temperature. And just that feeling of the pins and needles, it's almost like my hand is going to sleep, but I know my hand is not going to sleep.
Right.
I'm just feeling the energy. So yeah, that's a really cool way to experience. But like you talked about, it's just the awareness of it. Once you open your mind to the fact that all of this stuff does exist, and everything carries an energy, and everything carries a frequency, and it's all vibrating, and it's all either working to help us or to hurt us, and we have to figure it out for ourselves and understand what we're feeling and how to work with it. But it's really fascinating and kind of just never ending once you open yourself up to the reality of it.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to distinguish that low vibe doesn't necessarily mean like bad per se. There's like, it's not necessarily like a low to high vibe. It's more on like a scale, like a horizontal scale, I guess, like a timeline kind of scale, where the lower vibe, which is how we talk about it, but really it's just it's just one frequency at different levels, basically. So it's not necessarily, I mean, I use the word low and high vibe too, just because it's how someone would understand it, you know. But when you were talking about like death being the lowest vibe, it's the same thing as the TV. Like once your frequency, since energy cannot be destroyed, the energy that's running through me right now, when this physical body is no longer alive, my energy is still here. My energy has just transformed. My energy is not going with my body. It's just removed from my body. So it no longer, my body is no longer, it's the same thing now as, you know, like my desk or the chair I'm sitting in. Like it's dense, it's, you know, but there's no of the higher frequency running through it. So it's not able to, you know, move anymore. So it's the same thing as the TV, you know, the energy just has transformed. And as far as like, you know, you said holding the crystals and you got tingly. I think this is different for every person too. It's like some people feel the tingles. I know like when I would do Reiki, I would feel heat. Or I would feel like coolness. I also would feel the tingles, you know, like a heaviness. You can feel the energy in many different ways. You can feel the sensations in many different ways. So it's all about learning how you feel that energy to be aware of it. So, and also like two humans, when they have an energetic, when they have a conversation, that's nothing more really than an energetic exchange. And I know that when years ago, before I became aware of the fact that I can feel this energy, and I would just instantly know if somebody was not for me. And then it would come out like that they were doing things that clearly I didn't want in my life. Sometimes I listened, sometimes I didn't. But I always knew if this person was good for me or not. And sometimes I would try to logic it away or whatever. But and so now looking back, I was like, I was feeling their energy. I was able to understand that like our energies are not going to work together. The energy that person brought, I did not want in my life. And even though it was very, very unconscious at that time, I was still feeling the energy. And just like walking into that room again, like, you know, that there was tension, or people, you can tell if people are laughing, you can tell just when you walk in, because that it's the energetic exchange. And then you have like how people manipulate energy. There's a really good book called The Celestine Prophecy too, that also kind of teaches about the fundamentals of this. And it's written in the form of a novel, so it's really easy to understand. And they talk about how you can talk to your plants to make them grow. So it's that energy of, you know, the positive things that you're saying to your plants to make them grow bigger. Or, you know, if it's dying, and you can talk it back to life. And this is a real thing. And it's been measured with like actual science as far as like that. And then there was some like water test somebody did about like freezing water, like you're saying positive things or you're saying negative things. I don't remember all the ins and outs of it. And then like when it freezes, the formation of what it looks like, like, you know, it can be either be clearer or like more, you know, foggy, depending on what the words you were saying as it was freezing. And I don't remember the ins and outs of that project, but it's very much, you can see these things through science, and it's the same thing as like chemistry. It's just the energies mixing and the energies changing and the energies, it's so this is not just a woo woo thing that we're talking about. And this is just like the crystals are coming from the earth, which holds the magnetic frequency of the earth. So those pieces of crystal have the energy of the earth. So these are not just woo woo things. And I know when I first started getting into this, it was really confusing to me to understand the energetic world, and just thinking that it was all woo woo and like, but once you start really looking into it, there's a lot of science behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about speaking to your plants, or speaking words to the water, and seeing those elements looked frozen, there is so much power in the voice. And if you think about how the sound is produced, the vocal cords are vibrating. This is vibrations moving through the air. And so that's what we're talking about, right? The energy is the vibration of whatever that travels through the air, the information that's passed through the vibration. And our voice is a perfect example of this. And words have energy behind them. Words, we don't realize the power of our words, and the power of the energy that is behind our voice. And even you think about casting spells. This is the power of our voice. And it really, I mean, you can take it so many places, and it's mind-blowing. But I think for the people that this is new for, just starting to bring your awareness to this, starting to keep it in the forefront of your mind that everything has energy, and try to begin to feel into that, and be aware, oh, when I'm feeling this emotion, what does it feel like in my body? When I walk into this room, what am I perceiving? How do I feel when I'm with this person versus this person? How do I feel when I'm alone versus when I'm in a crowded Walmart? Like, if you just bring your awareness to that, or even when you're out in nature, how do I feel when I go stand up next to this tree? How do I feel when I'm barefoot on the ground? Begin to purposefully, with intention, examine these things about yourself and about the world. And if you begin to do that, then slowly but surely you will certainly start to feel it and experience it and bring it into your awareness on a regular basis.
Yeah. And as far as emotion, what is emotion? It's energy and motion. So for people that say like they don't have emotion, that's not true, because it's literally just energy moving through your body and hitting pain points and energetic balls, I guess, like pieces of energy that are stuck in your system. So everybody has emotions. It's just the energy moving through your body.
Yeah, I think when people say they don't have emotions, they're not expressing the emotions.
Right. Yes,
they're
exactly.
not allowing it to move through their body. They're actually forcing it to stay stuck in the body, which is what causes the pain and the physical symptoms, because they are not allowing the movement of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the issue we see with a lot of people trying to, in the personal development world and changing their lives and all of this. It's not about, that energy is really important to look at, and to, a lot of the personal development world, it doesn't take the energy into account. That's, again, leading with the five senses, the doing, and the being the physical human, and it doesn't take the energy into account. And I think it's really important if you want to change your life, if you want to create a new life, if you want to, you have to start to open yourself up to energy. And if you can't see it or feel it or any of that, it's okay. Just start opening your mind to there's something more beyond my physical senses. That's all. That's where you can start at a really basic level. Just open your mind to that, and you will start to see and feel. And, like you said, with how do I feel with certain people? If I am hanging out with somebody and after I hang out with them, I come home and I'm just exhausted. Are you giving them your energy? Are you making sure they feel okay all the time? Are you people pleasing? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you giving them your energy consistently? And that is super important also, to start to notice those things, like you said, and being in nature, because nature is the highest level of frequency that, we have access to. And so putting your feet on the ground and feeling the energy, the grounding energy, and, you can start there too. Go walk a little bit on the grass, 5 minutes a day, and just see, what differences you feel, and all of those things. It's the same thing, with trees, and all of these living things are here to teach us, to show us that this love energy is everywhere, and we can tap into it at any time. Just takes a little bit of deprogramming, I guess, deconditioning, to be able to really tap into those things. So yeah, living beyond, the five senses, and because that's kind of where the science is right now. It's just those living within those five senses. And there's so much more beyond that. And yeah, it's the way it is, everything is energy. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we in further podcasts, I'm sure we're going to get into a little bit more of this. We can talk about the individual chakras and the energies associated there. Originally, like I said, we were going to talk about the masculine and feminine energies and how that plays out in our lives. So I'm sure we will get to that. But if you want us to answer any specific questions that you have related to this podcast, or anything that you would like to hear more from us in the future, please let us know. We are just addressing a variety of topics that are important to us, things that have played a big role in our own healing journeys, things that we are passionate about, and we are looking to share with the rest of the world. So if you want to connect or get to know either of us or both of us more, please send us an email. Our links are all in the show notes, and we would love to hear from you. Yeah.
Yes. Or comments on YouTube. We put these on YouTube also. Leave comments. I would love to, do an episode just on something that you want to know about. We are here to help people understand this at a deeper level. And that's, what we do. So
yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Great talk today on the basics of energy. All right. We'll be back with you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.